Hello. Welcome back to another episode of People Talk Fanatics. I'm here with my co-host Chris Kern, and I'm excited to uh, talk everything conference tournaments and revealing our brackets. So welcome.
Yeah, so it's the best time of year, and I'm so pumped, Alex.
So let's start with the Big Ten semifinal game, which happened on Saturday. Number 18, Wisconsin won by 3 against number 7, Michigan State, 77-74. What were your takes on that game?
It was it was a sorry. Which game did you say again? I apologize. Which one was
The
first?
the Big Ten semifinal game.
Just 1 second. It was. Oh yeah, I didn't get to watch, but I heard people were talking about. Um, I mean, Tanjay had a huge day.
Hmm.
Is that was kind of that was kind of the main takeaway from
Yeah,
like that I heard people talk about. Looks
he
like he
had
had
32 points with
32.
7
Yeah,
rebounds.
I mean, I guess that's the takeaway with a lot of games from Wisconsin. I feel like he's always put up big numbers. But I mean, Michigan State have been playing so well, and I mean they played well in
Hmm.
this game, and just Tanjay's being able to kind of be he kind I feel like he kind of stood out, and he has stood
Hmm.
out in a lot of the Big Ten games that like he play on the floor, and in a conference with a lot of talented guys. I think when you go into NCAA tournament game with the best player and a guy who's playing as well as Tanjay has,
Yeah.
you just feel so much more confident. It's a good
Hmm.
feeling having that guy on your side.
I saw Michigan State, Jamie Fields, and Jace Richardson really played well despite losing that game. And I saw the Badgers erased a 45-41 deficit with an 11-0 run in the second half, which was a big time boost for them. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was a big stretch for them. Just being able to kind of just I mean runs like that in the second half of
Hmm.
games or whenever in games are just so key because like a big stat and like statistic you'll see teams talk about it's like they classify it as a kill shot at
Hmm.
10-0 runs and just like those are just such a momentum booster or a breaker, however you look at it, whatever side you're on of
Yeah.
it, and just a team that like you want to not give those up, but like especially in a big game like that, a 10-0 run could just really shift things, and
Hmm.
they did it, and just a really good performance for them in that game. A lot of Wisconsin, they've kind of I felt like they kind of fallen a little bit under the radar down the stretch of the Big Ten season, but they've still been playing really good basketball. So I was kind of impressed with them in this tournament.
Hmm. So moving on to the SEC tournament semifinal game, number 8 Tennessee against Auburn. What were your thoughts on that one?
I'm trying to. I watched a lot of it. I know because I'm pretty sure it was an SEC games were early, so I watched this game. I watched Tennessee yesterday too, but and that was pretty insane. Against Auburn, I thought they did a good job, kind of just controlling. They slowed them down. I mean, Tennessee can pretty much control the pace against anybody. It feels like, and I felt like they did a good job doing that. And
Hmm.
one of the guards, Ziegler, had a big game. They got to the free throw line and they made free throws. Like that's such a big thing. And if you're gonna play a slow, kind of grind it out, and if you're gonna get to the free throw line, you have to make them. You gotta take advantage if that's how you're gonna play. And I think they did that. And just defensively, it felt like they did. Auburn didn't get, yeah, only six for 21 from three, and
Hmm.
Auburn missed 9 free throws. Oh, I guess yeah. Tennessee was 25-27, 13 and then 13-22 for Auburn. That's a huge difference. And 12-point free throw advantage is pretty tough to overcome when you're not making threes either. So I think Tennessee did a good job. Obviously, you're not controlling if they're making their own free throws as much, but
Hmm.
limiting 3 pointers and then capitalizing on their own free throws was kind of takeaway for me. And I think that's something that Tennessee can do in a lot of games and has done. Just a way they can kind of control
Yeah.
things.
Uh, Zeke Ziegler and Jordan Gainey, as well as Chas Lanier played really well. What were your thoughts on the offensive playmaking for Auburn, and what did you think they needed to do better to overcome the deficit?
It just seemed like they didn't have a lot of consistent, like,
Hmm.
just like looks. Like they didn't get the production from Baker Mazzara. Pettiford was 0 for 8 shooting off the bench, and that's a big one. Like they didn't have any bench production. I think 3 bench points is what I think that's what they ended up with. They didn't have much because like Janai Bloom had 23, and he was really good, but he missed 7 free throws. That's not like him,
Yeah.
and so that's a pretty noticeable thing when you're big. We're like he's going to get a lot of free throws in a physical game like that, and he wasn't able to take advantage as much. So I mean that's a small thing, but like just the 3-point shots weren't falling. I mean Kelly hit 3, but they just didn't get enough consistently. It felt like a lot of that game down the stretch when they would kind of come like they weren't out of reach. It was a pretty close game. They just couldn't. There was a couple shots. It felt like they really needed to hit from 3, and it just felt like they were going to make those shots. To me, watching that game, they got some in rhythm shots. I believe there was a couple kick out threes they had a chance at, but I might be misremembering. Either way, they had some decent looks to really put a little more pressure on Tennessee and like have a chance to win this game, which they still did have. But honestly, I think they didn't get a lot of great looks, but the couple that they had down the stretch, they just didn't make. And
Yeah.
I think that's just credit to Tennessee. I mean, Bruce Paul, I don't know if a little bit of his post game comments, people ask him if he was like concerned or whatnot, but it's like we've lost because they've lost a few in a row basically, or like 4 or 5 or something. He's like, we've lost to 4 of the best 5 teams in the country basically, and it's like you can't put too much stock into it. It's unfortunate losing a couple in a row to end it, but I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Tennessee never trailed after a 13-1 run to go up 60-49 at some point in the game.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
took big control. I didn't realize that was that big of a run. I was watching off and on in the second half. I watched the ending, so that was a big run. I knew they kind of pushed it away a little bit in the second half, but yeah, they really held serve after that. Then.
So moving on to the AAC Championship semifinal game, 16th ranked Memphis beat Tulane by 178-77. PJ Haggerty made 8 free throws and forced a huge turnover in the final 40 seconds of the game. Dane Danger and Mosa Cisse definitely played their best basketball in a while in that game, and I felt like their offensive transition really clicked at the right time, and Tulane was just unfortunate to be in that position with the last 45 seconds left of the game, and I just feel like they couldn't get over the hump with Danger in transition.
Yeah, it was tough. Danger's so nice, and I mean, Tulane had chances, man. They missed a couple shots. Like they had it down the stretch, and then a missed free throw late in the game. I don't remember the exact situation, but it was in the final, like the fouling scenario. I think it was to cut it to 1, I believe, with like 15 seconds left. He missed.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't make up that, like that 1 point, like a 2-point game or a 3-point game versus or a 3 versus 4. I don't remember the exact scenario. That extra point just is so big when you're hoping the other team also misses free throws. You can't miss them yourself. But like they had some big games. It was a really fun basketball game. It's a tough way.
I really liked how Brumbaugh played for Tulane.
Brumbaugh was really good. He
Yeah.
made some big shots, some big plays.
I think he finished for like at least 20.
He was definitely in the 20s.
Yeah.
He had a lot of plays. It felt like he probably hit 22. It looks like he probably had a lot down the stretch. It felt like he was really assertive and did a good job making the plays for his team. He had 22, so like he did a good job. They had some good contributions. Just Memphis just found a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing against Wichita State the day before, and it's just without Tyrese Hunter too, or he got hurt in this game at some point. I think I don't remember. Yeah, he got hurt during this game. I couldn't remember which one he got hurt in. But yeah, just Memphis just found ways to win this week, and it's tough from the losing side of things. Like for Wichita State Tulane, it was tough because like they were right there, and Memphis just found a way to sneak it out. That's I think a big thing is they have really good guards, and then Danger has really taken himself to the next level. And Musa Cisse, like they're great at every position.
Yeah,
Danger and Cisse have been in power conference basketball for years, and now they're at Memphis just dominating, being really good. Cisse was really good in Big 12. Danger was solid in Big 12, and he was really good. He was really good at Illinois too. Now he's come to Memphis and really helped them out. I mean, all their guards have been from power conferences, and they're just buckets. Haggerty's insane. I don't remember where Haggerty's from.
They're such a great built team.
Yeah, they're so talented, and you great built. It's not just a talent. I think they have guards that fit well together. They can create. They can defend. I think it's a roster that fits really well together. And I don't know if that's normally been the case for Memphis. They've always been talented, but I don't know. A lot of years they don't. I don't think they don't mesh as well as this team has. Honestly, to put it bluntly, a couple of the teams has, but this team's a lot better in sync most nights. They had like an off day or two, but like it wasn't anything crazy.
So moving on to the Big 12 championship game. I know Chris was at the game, and Houston beat Arizona 72-64. I wanted your analysis on the game since you were there in person, and I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, so I'll start just like from a broad perspective. Houston, really good. Without Juwan Roberts, it was going to be interesting to see how they kind of managed defensively. And just Arizona over this whole tournament, you could really notice their size and just athleticism at the forward spots with whoever they put out there. It was really noticeable compared to the other Big 12 teams. And Caleb Love had a good performance in this game. He was making shots. But the obvious thing that stood out was Milos Uzane. Just his ability to get to his spots. He made some threes as well. Emmanuel Sharp was really good as well. Like a lot of other players stepped up. Arizona had some good performances too. But the takeaway has to be the way Milos Uzane kind of took over down the stretch. He got to a spot in the mid-range, hit the floaters. He hit a couple step back threes, maybe not, but like deep, steps to the side threes or whatever. Like he seemed like that was my question going into this week, and it's still kind of up in the air. But does Houston have that guy who can go make plays late in the game to win it for his team? Because they have really good big men. They fight. They're physical. They have really good shooters. Cryer, Sharp. They can create a little bit, but did they have that guy to really actually take over a game? And Milos Uzane kind of he showed that. I thought it felt like he could get whatever he wanted, or he was at least getting to his spot, like whatever spot he wanted to get to shoot from in a shot clock scenario, whatever they were doing. He got there and he made most of those attempts down the stretch, and I think that's the difference.
He was unbelievable.
He was, because I feel like Arizona, Houston, they've been in the news a lot this season. A lot of people have watched them play a lot of games, but it was just compared to like watching them in other times, is like just the way Uzane took over. That was special, and they're gonna need that, because there's not every game in this tournament is gonna be easy. So they're gonna need him to do that a couple times if they want to make a deep run.
I felt that guy J.D. Bradley played really well for Arizona in that game, as well as Caleb Love, of course. But the Houston Cougars were 9 of 12, made 9 of 12 shots in the second half, and were up 56-46 with 11 minutes to go. What was going through your mind with 10 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah, I was definitely just thinking, just kind of what I talked about, honestly. It was just like, it felt like Arizona's just physicality. I don't remember the exact turning point, but it was it was about that. Like, yeah, just Arizona seemed like they had a chance to take control. They just were bigger. Houston wasn't making as many shots. I don't know if I think Arizona had the lead at some point. It was kind of back and forth game, but just it was just like, was Houston going to be able to make the shots and buckets that they needed? Because you knew they were going to defend. They were going to get stops on that end of the floor, but were they going to be able to come down to the other end and make the shots they needed? And they did. They did that. They got creative. They got to their spots. But then from Arizona's perspective, it was they have a couple of guys because the counterpoint I was just talking about, just Houston have the guys. Arizona has the guys who can. They have the guy who can take over late in games, and Caleb Love. But it's over his college career. The question has been the consistency, and he was good in this game. So it's not like not putting him on blast or anything, but it's like he was. Sometimes he's got to find the mix of being aggressive versus kind of deferring to teammates. Because you mentioned Bradley, MJ Lewis was pretty good as well, getting to some of his spots, and they had some success inside, but not as much as previous games, which obviously is going to be expected when you're going against Houston's front court. Even without Roberts, they're going to defend really well inside. They have plenty of guys, but it was just kind of just watch. Just honestly, I was really just looking forward to seeing like how both teams kind of picked apart like the opposing defense on the offensive end of the floor. Because there's just tournament time. Regular season games are just so different. Like you have schemes, you have sets, and sometimes your players will just take over. But like in a neutral site tournament setting, you've played a couple days in a row. Like you're that third straight day playing a game. It's like who's going to make the plays? Everyone's tired. The legs are tired, and who has it left in them to really take over? And Houston had the guys, specifically Milos Hussein, but Emmanuel Sharp hit some shots as well, and everyone contributed on both sides. It was just a really good game. But Milos Hussein, what he did it's very eye-opening heading into next week.
What were your thoughts on Arizona turning the ball over 12 times, which was
they were a little sloppy.
Yeah, which was really surprising to me because of how well the offensive playmaking that team has, and I was just surprised of Arizona not getting over the hump.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I don't know. It wasn't terrible because you're going to turn it over a good amount against Houston, but it was just even more than the numbers. They felt like they had too many wasted possessions where they didn't get where they wanted. Like Lewis, Bradley, Love can make shots, but like they had to settle a lot, what you're going to do against Houston. And I just don't think they got into their offense quick enough sometimes. And just they weren't super confident in some of the stuff they were running, it felt like, to me. Was kind of why some of those turnovers happened and just why some of the bad possessions took place as well.
So let's move on to the Big Ten Championship semifinal game. Michigan against Maryland. Michigan won by 81-80. What were your thoughts on how Trey Donaldson played for Michigan and everything else?
Trey Donaldson was really good. That was a really fun basketball game. Low scoring, but both teams really got after it, and it was exciting. It was kind of back and forth. Michigan kind of took control a little bit later, but just the way Trey Donaldson kind of ran the offense, it kind of went through him. Wolf only had one assist, so Donaldson kind of really facilitated a little bit more, and I felt like he kept it at their pace. They were never concerned or panicked when they fell behind. I think they probably fell behind by like 7 or 8 in the second half. I don't think it ever hit double figures. It looks like Wisconsin was up 11 at one point, so it would have snuck into double figures. But it just, even in that time frame, they responded pretty well. And I think a lot of credit does go to Donaldson. But Wolf made some plays, Gold made some plays. Just in low-scoring games, the numbers are never going to look great off the end of the floor. But it really just felt like Golden hit a couple shots, Wolf made a couple plays, and it just felt like they all made a couple timely plays down the stretch, and we didn't quite see that from Wisconsin.
Yeah. I just wanted to add something. Derek Queen for Maryland dropped a career high 31 points. And what were your thoughts on how his performance was, and what did you want to see Maryland do better?
Derek Queen's really good. Honestly, there's not a lot. I mean, they lost on a buzzer beater, so you can't. Oh, a game went away whenever it happened. You can't fault them too much. And Derek Queen is just sensational. He's one of the best bigs in the country. He doesn't get talked about enough as one of the best players in the country, and he certainly is. He's going to be a high draft pick, and he's special. There's not many guys that can guard him. And like Michigan has Golden and Wolf. They have good bigs. They have forget the backup's name, but they have depth. They were really good inside, and it didn't really impact him. He scored inside and out. He got to the free throw line. It just goes through him, and they just didn't quite get the win, but Derek Queen's special, and he's going to be a handful next week.
So our next game is the SEC Tournament final game between Florida and Tennessee. Florida beat Tennessee 86-77. Chasno O'Neal and Jemai Mashak definitely had a big game for Tennessee, although they lost. What were your thoughts on how Florida's performance was, and what did you think that Tennessee needed to do better more?
Florida just gets after it on both ends of the floor. They sped up Tennessee a little bit. Florida just a way. Tennessee didn't rebound well in this game. Florida just got second chances. I mean, from Tennessee's perspective, there's not a lot. I mean, you got to rebound better, but like they made the plays. I felt like to have a chance in this game. Gainey and Ziegler both scored in the 20s. Like they were hitting shots. They hit some threes. They didn't get much from the post play offensively, though. It was basically just the guards, which is kind of how they're going to play anyway. Yeah. But, like, the bigs were just battling all day, and they just did not rebound the ball well. Condon, I think, really had a huge day. And they just Florida seemed like they just controlled the glass, and I think that's not how Tennessee wants to play. You're not going to win the rebounding margin every day, but, like, getting out rebounded by, I think it was by, like, 11 or 12, Tennessee, I felt like they didn't get the second chances that Florida did, and I think that was noticeable. And I wonder how many 61 shot attempts to 49. So they shot 12 less times, and they didn't have they scored 12 less points in the paint too, which isn't a huge thing because Tennessee's guards really went to work, so they kind of made up for it on the threes. They didn't even make more threes, but those two did. But it was just. They just had some small things, but overall, it was just an awesome game to watch. I don't think there's any major takeaways either way. Both teams are playing good ball heading in the NCAA tournament, and they both should be able to advance deep.
I was reading this article about the game, and I found this little thing. The 86 points allowed by Tennessee marks the most they've given up in the game this season. And it's just the second time all season they allowed a team to top 80. The other one was 85-82 against Missouri in the regular season.
That's crazy. I would not have guessed that. I mean, Tennessee, they get after it. They're not going to let you get those points. But, yeah, it's scoring 80 against Tennessee is impressive. And Florida's loaded on offensively, and they all make plays when they need to. And they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah. So our second to last one is the AAC Championship final game. Number 16 ranked Memphis beat UAB 84-72. PJ Haggerty and Danger were absolutely phenomenal. Danger had his second triple-double of the season, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks. Musa Cisse was definitely amazing as well as always for that type of offense. And what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I was just it felt for Memphis. It was the guys we talked about, Danger and Haggerty. They took over that game. They were the two best players on that floor, and it was pretty noticeable. But it was definitely Cisse had one of his best games of the season. I saw it. They really brought the physicality to UAB, and it was tough for Lindenberg. They really get going. He had 19 and 17, so like he battled, and but he didn't finish the ball well. They got the free throw. Like UAB bad. Like it was close for most of the game. They just Memphis got Haggerty made a few plays. Dane Danger had a couple and ones. I don't know. Like he finished through. He was just finishing through contact, and they pushed it out to 10 or 12. And at that point, it was UAB just didn't really have the offensive punch, or they weren't able to string together the stops either to get back into that game late. And it's because Danger and Haggerty are just a dynamic duo, and the other guys complemented them so well that it was those two were just able to really make plays and do what they do.
Memphis was 10 for 17 from the field in that game.
They were 10 for 17 late. You said down the stretch or something.
I think so.
Nice. Yeah, they made shots late. Memphis missed some free throws, but they made them. But it wasn't close enough late to where any of that mattered.
I think
But it was just a fun, fast-paced game.
Under the 8-minute mark was when Memphis controlled the game because UAB caught up 63-56 at 8 minutes left.
Yeah, I was right because Memphis started the second half really strong, but then UAB kind of responded, like you said, got it back to that point. But then Memphis pushed it back out to double figures, and that was kind of all she wrote. They weren't able to really get it back late.
Yeah, UAB definitely had trouble in the paint with Danger.
Yeah, it was noticeable, and Cisse dominated the glass too when he came in. So it was just tough. UAB didn't have the size advantage, and they battled. Like the rebound margin was pretty even, but it felt like Memphis got the big ones to really kind of set the tone.
Yeah. So that's the Big Ten championship final game. Number 22 ranked Michigan beat number 18 ranked Wisconsin 59-53. What were your takeaways from this game?
Yeah, just Michigan just kind of controlled things. Tonje didn't have a great game, and it's just a Michigan defense. I mean, the defense of both ways. Both defenses got after it, and Tonje struggled. I mean, we talked about him in the past game. The semifinal, he was sensational, and then this game, he couldn't make anything. So I think that's ultimately the difference. So we'll see what his consistency looks like next week. You gotta give props to Michigan with how they defended him, but when Tonje has to find a way to be more effective than that.
Danny Wolf had consecutive layups during the 7-0 run to tie the game at some point in the game. Wisconsin was 3 for 19 to open up the game, which was brutal for them.
Yeah. That was a tough little. That was a good little stretch for Michigan, but a couple big. I feel like all Michigan's guys just made a couple big plays. Like you mentioned, Wolf, Golden had a couple big finishes and stops on the other end. And then Trey Donaldson did a good job making a couple plays for his teammates today. He just made a couple shots, timely shots, because Maryland or Wisconsin had gone up, not a lot, but it's double figures ish, and then nice low run. Nice lower spots, got him back in it pretty quickly.
Yeah. So now we are gonna head over to reveal our brackets, which is the best thing of this episode, and I'm looking forward to hearing what your thoughts are on these games and what your Final Four is.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
So first, you want to start at the.
We're gonna just go kind of region by region.
Yeah, want to start at the South region?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So I can go first.
Sounds good.
Okay, I have Auburn over either Alabama State or St. Francis. I have Louisville over Creighton. UC San Diego over Michigan. Yale upsetting Texas A&M. Ole Miss over either San Diego State or North Carolina. I have Iowa State beating Lipscomb. I have Marquette beating New Mexico. Michigan State over Bryant.
I like it. I like it. Let me pull mine. Sorry, I'm already second guessing myself, but I'm just gonna go with my gut on these. I do like some of your upset picks. I agree with you on some of them. So I have Auburn beating whichever the St. Alabama State or St. Francis, 16 seed. I have Creighton over Louisville. I have Michigan beating UC San Diego, but that's a fun one. I have Yale beating Texas A&M, and then I have the San Diego State or UNC beating Ole Miss. I think it will be North Carolina. North Carolina was who I think it will be, but I think either team would have a good chance. And then I have Iowa State over Lipscomb. I'm taking Marquette over New Mexico, and then Michigan State over Bryant.
Mm-hmm. So the round of 32 in the South region, I have Auburn over Louisville, Yale over UC San Diego, Iowa State over Ole Miss, and Michigan State over Marquette.
I like it. I like it. I have Auburn beating Creighton, Michigan beating Yale, Iowa State beating North Carolina, and then Michigan State beating Marquette.
So for the Sweet 16 of the South region, I have Auburn beating Yale and Michigan State advancing, beating Iowa State.
Okay. I got Auburn over Michigan, and then I have Iowa State beating Michigan State. So we disagree on that one, but both got Auburn.
Yeah. So let's move on to the West region.
Do you want to save the Elite Eight pick then? Now you
Sure.
want to do it? So we can do all Elite Eight at the end. That works?
Yeah. So I have Florida over Norfolk State, UConn over Oklahoma, Memphis over Colorado State, Maryland over Grand Canyon, Drake upsetting Missouri, Texas Tech over UNC Wilmington, Kansas over Arkansas, St. John's over Omaha.
It's a great pick with that second to last one there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have Florida beating Norfolk State. I have Oklahoma over UConn. Memphis over Colorado State. I got Maryland over Grand Canyon. I also have Drake beating Missouri. And then Texas Tech over UNC Wilmington. Kansas over Arkansas. And then St. John's over Omaha.
So want to do round of 32 for the West region?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So I picked Florida over UConn, Memphis over Maryland, and Texas Tech over Drake, and St. John's over Kansas.
I like it. I like it. So I have Florida over Oklahoma. I have Maryland over Memphis. I have Drake over Texas Tech. And then St. John's over Kansas.
Interesting. So want to do the Sweet 16 now?
Yeah, let's do 316,
Okay.
then we can save all the Elite Eights at the end.
Okay. So I have Florida over Memphis and St. John's over Texas Tech.
I like it. So I have Florida over Maryland, and then St. John's over Drake.
Mm-hmm. So to the East region, I have Duke beating either American or uh, what's the other school? I forget.
Mount St. Mary's, I believe.
Oh yeah, Mount St. Mary's. I also have Baylor beating Mississippi State, Oregon over Liberty, Arizona over Akron, BYU over VCU, Wisconsin over Montana, St. Mary's over Vanderbilt, Alabama over Robert Morris, and for the round of 32, I have Duke beating Baylor, Arizona beating Oregon, Wisconsin over BYU, Alabama over St. Mary's, and for Sweet 16, I have Duke over Arizona and Wisconsin over Alabama.
Nice. Nice. All right. So I'll go back for mine. So I have Duke beating whichever 16 seed, Baylor over Mississippi State, Oregon over Liberty, Arizona over Akron, VCU over BYU, Wisconsin over Montana, Vanderbilt over St. Mary's, and then Alabama over Morris. And then I have Duke over Baylor, Arizona over Oregon, Wisconsin over VCU, and then Vanderbilt over Alabama. And then the Sweet 16, I have Arizona beating Duke, and then I have Vanderbilt beating Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. So for the Midwest region, I have Houston beating SIUE, Gonzaga over Georgia, Clemson over McNeese, High Point over Purdue, Illinois over Texas Xavier, Kentucky over Troy, Utah State over UCLA, and Tennessee over Wofford.
I like it. I like it.
And for the round of 32, I have Houston over Gonzaga, Clemson over High Point, Kentucky over Illinois, Tennessee over Utah State. And Sweet 16, I have Houston over Clemson and Tennessee over Kentucky.
Nice. I like it. I like it. All right. So I have Houston beating SIUE. I always mispronounce something. Southern Illinois, Edwardsville. We've watched them play a few times, but I have Houston beating them. I have Gonzaga over Georgia, Clemson over McNeese State, High Point over Purdue. Shout out John. And then I have Xavier over Illinois. I think Xavier beats Texas, so I think this will be Xavier over Illinois. And then Kentucky over Troy, Utah State over UCLA, and then Tennessee over Wofford. And then Houston over Gonzaga, Clemson over High Point, Xavier over Kentucky, and then Tennessee over Utah State.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have Houston over Clemson, and then Tennessee over Xavier.
Mm-hmm. So what did say our final four picks?
Yeah. Do we want to? Yeah. Should we start with you, Elite Eight? So go region.
Yeah.
We can still go region by region. So
Okay.
in the South, I have Auburn and Iowa State. And who do you have in the South in the Elite Eight?
Auburn and Michigan State.
So you have Michigan State. I have Iowa State. I have Auburn winning over Iowa State.
Mm-hmm. I have Auburn beating Michigan State.
Okay. And then in the West, I have Florida versus St. John's. I believe that's also what you have.
Yeah, I have Florida beating St. John's.
I also have Florida. So we both have the one seeds there. And then in the East, I have Arizona against Vanderbilt. And I know you have something different than that, but I can't remember.
I have Duke over Wisconsin.
Over Wisconsin, nice. I have Arizona beating Vanderbilt in the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm. And for the Midwest, I have Houston over Tennessee.
Nice. Nice.
And my Final Four is Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston. And my national championship is Florida, Duke, and the team that cuts down the nets, in my opinion, the Florida Gators.
That's a fun pick. So I have Florida beating Auburn, and then I have Houston beating Arizona, and I also have Florida cutting down the nets by beating Houston in the title game. I'm really Florida's just so dynamic. They can play with pace. I feel like they can play in a lot of different ways. I trust the way they rebound the basketball. They get second chances, and they play fast. And they don't like the possibility of them having an off night offensively doesn't scare me at all, really, because I just think they have so many playmakers and so many guys that can score that they'll just be able to pick each other up and it won't cost them. I just think they're so filthy. They can score the ball. Auburn's been playing a high level. Duke's been playing a high level. But I just think Florida's roster and their starting lineup is better. And I think they're going to be able to take care of business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said. I think Florida is the deepest team in this tournament. And I think Duke is the second to best, and that's why I picked them in the national championship. But I'm just curious to see if anything surprising happens throughout these next couple of days, which I'm sure there will be plenty of.
Definitely will.
Yeah.
There'll be plenty of surprises. Just looking through the bracket, none of the 8-9 seeds scare me too much. As one of the 1 seeds to lose early because it happens a lot. The one would be Gonzaga against Houston's interesting because Gonzaga, they make the second weekend every year. They've made the second weekend like 10 straight years or something. Even as double-digit seeds, they continue to do it. But the way Houston plays, I just think they can get it done. But it's just so many fun matchups. What's your favorite? I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I guess you can give a couple, but what are the first round games you're most looking forward to? If you had to pick like 2 or 3, I guess we can talk about how many you want. But
I'm definitely looking forward to the Creighton Louisville game.
That's a great one to start it off. That's the first game. That is such a good one to start it off. Because Louisville in the ACC tournament, I was able to watch a couple times. I watched the final. They didn't play great against Duke. But I love Chucky Hepburn and Terrence Edwards Jr. They're just such a fun duo. Just the way they came from last year, and just they get after it. They're just a lot of fun. And just the way Creighton's kind of reinvigorated themselves. They've kind of gone up and down a little bit in Big East play, but they bounced back after Pop Isaac's injury. And they went through a stretch where they were playing very good basketball. Like, they can be dangerous. And Ryan Kalkbrenner is one of the best players in the country when he's locked in.
Yeah. And Stephen Ashworth.
Ashworth, he seems to make all the big shots they need him to.
Yeah.
Creighton's a fun team. I love that game. That's definitely one of my favorites.
And also I feel like the Memphis Colorado State game could be fun.
That's a great game. Colorado State's favored by a couple points even. So it's a really interesting game because Nick Clifford, a lot of these guys, Colorado State made the tournament last year. They will. I might be misremembering my years, but I believe they played Virginia in the play-in in Dayton, and then they got pounded by Texas in the first round. They lost some of the guys from that team, but they put. Yeah. That might have been 2 years ago, but I remember that happening. A lot of guys from that team are still here. Clifford's one of the best players in the Mountain West. And they went on that run to win the conference tournament when they wouldn't have gotten an at-large berth. So it was really impressive that they were able to do that and beat a lot of good Mountain West teams to do that. So that's a fantastic game. Definitely.
And also definitely looking forward to the which one was it? New Mexico.
New Mexico, the Marquette.
Yeah.
Cut out a little bit, I think that's what it is. Yeah, New Mexico's interesting. Donovan Denton is so good. because New Mexico
Yeah.
lost a couple of studs from last year's team.
I'm curious to see
But they're good.
David Joplin and Cam Jones have in store against New Mexico.
Yeah, that's a weird. Marquette's they've kind of struggled a little bit recently. I
Yeah.
feel I don't, maybe they ended the year a little strong, but they had some bad stretches where they just weren't great. But they're a really good team, and I feel they could surprise. They could beat Michigan. They could win a couple games and make a deep run. I feel that strongly about their guards that you mentioned and some of the other guys as well. I trust those guys to
Yeah.
score the ball and play tough basketball. So that's a really fun one. You picked
Got a
Yale.
question for you. I have a question
for
for you. Do you think it's possible for Yale to beat Auburn?
No, they did. They did last year. So I guess I can't say no. I guess I can't say it's impossible, but it would take a lot. It would not shock me if that game happens. It's just they're better in a lot of ways than last year, but it's different not having 7-foot Danny Wolf to go with
Yeah.
all these scrappy guards, the way they play. Like they haven't really missed a beat this season without him, but in the NCAA tournament game, just Danny Wolf's different. A 7-foot guy who can pass the ball like he can, score the ball and defend, and just really quick on his feet. But their guards are scrappy. They're going to make it tough on Auburn. They're going to turn them over again. They're going to fluster Chaz Baker Mazzara. I'm assuming he won't get ejected right into the game like he did last year. That game was sensational last year. Yale, I'm going to butcher his name, but they're sharpshooting their bucket, their go-to guy. He's back. He had like 30 last year against Auburn. He may be able to do that again. But they're just it's going to be tough. Texas A&M is going to be tough for them too. Texas A&M, they're just so athletic and physical in the front court. They're just big and physical, but they are going to fluster Wade Taylor and Zurich Phelps. I think those two guards are going to have their hands full. And defensively, like Yale is not easy to defend from like your perspective. Like they can score the ball, they move the ball quickly when they need to, and they just get to their spots, and they're gonna get good looks. And if they hit them, they're gonna be in the ball game. And it's like you have to execute better than Yale, and you may have the athleticism and talent standpoint, but you're not gonna play smarter than them. You're not gonna force mistakes. That's just not who they are. So if you make a few bad mistakes yourself, it's like if you give them for example, fast break layups, or you turn the ball over and wasting possessions, Yale's not going to do that. So they're going to be in the game if you let them. And once it gets down to a close late game, they have the guys who can make shots and win a game.
Yeah.
And you probably watched Yale more than me this year, but they brought back a lot of guys from last year, so I'm excited to see what they can do. Because it's also a potential Michigan-Yale matchup would be awesome to see Danny Wolf go against all his former teammates in the second round.
With Trey Donaldson.
Trey Donaldson, he's just I love the golden. I don't know how Yale would go at the golden Wolf pairing inside, but they would find a way. They scheme things up so well. There was one other game that I'm really interested to see what Grand Canyon can do against Maryland. I love this Grand Canyon team. They're just so talented. They haven't played great this season, but they're here. They made the tournament, and that's all that matters. They've kind of been up and down. They've been inconsistent. They've had some injuries. They've been sloppy. I feel like they haven't played great together as a team, but they are talented, and they have the guys who can make plays. And that game against Maryland is going to be a ton of fun, I think.
Do you think Georgia has the chance to beat Gonzaga?
I do. Georgia's really good. I haven't watched them play a ton. They're in the NCAA tournament in the 90s, like they're really good, but they've kind of fallen under the radar compared to some other SEC teams, I feel like. But they're really good. I was just talking about them a little earlier with one of my friends. But Asa Newell, I really like the way he plays. He's really solid. I'm curious on his prospects, an NBA guy too. Like they have the guys to play really well. They lost a lot of their tough games, but I mean, The SEC was brutal, and they took care of business against who they needed to, and they're here, and they're really good. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah.
I trust Gonzaga's guys. They've been here. They're veterans. They've been in the tournament. They've won games in the tournament together.
Mhm.
Like they basically brought everyone back from last year. They added Khalif Battle. Hasn't been a great season, but it's hard not to trust Gonzaga in March.
Yeah. I'm also interested to see how Utah State does.
That's an interesting one. UCLA is a team I haven't watched a lot, honestly. Like I
I've,
don't know much about their team.
yeah. I feel like I watched them. I think I watched more USC basketball than UCLA this season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they've played late at night a lot of times, so that's why I don't watch. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
just haven't really seen them on TV a ton. They've kind of fallen under the radar.
Mhm.
Utah State's perspective, Ian Martinez, I don't remember how their tournament game went last year, but I've watched Ian Martinez has put up some big points in some big games for them. He's a great shooter,
Mhm.
and he's going to be tough to guard for UCLA.
Yeah. I wish they had more Utah State national televised games
I
this
know
season.
the Mountain West is so much fun. CBS Sports
Yeah.
Network usually gets all those matchups, but it would be fun to see some of those teams play in some bigger events in the non-conference. San Diego State gets to, but not many of the other schools get as much shine nationally. I mean, San Diego State's been the one producing in the NCAA tournament. Some of these other teams have to find a way to get wins. The Mountain West's track record outside of San Diego State the past few years has been really bad, and they have good teams.
Yeah.
And they can't, like, they're lower seeds, but like they have to find a way to win games. Like Colorado State's favorite against Memphis. Utah, I don't know who's favored. Utah State against UCLA. I would guess it's a pick-em-ish. I'd guess it's right about 50-50 either way. And like they have to find a way to win games.
Yeah.
It's fun. A lot of good teams in that conference. I would love seeing them get their shine, but it's going to be interesting to see how it goes for them. Because Utah State's done a good job. They've lost coaches over the years. They've lost big-name players and transfers. They've lost NBA guys, and they've continued to find ways to replace them and manage things and win games. And it's really cool to see how they've done that and kind of evolved year by year.
Yeah. The other potential game that will intrigue me would be the second weekend, Drake against Texas Tech.
Drake against Texas Tech would be
really intriguing.
I was thinking about that. I don't like we'll talk about Drake, and I think everyone's going to talk about Drake. And Missouri's kind of fallen off a little bit, but Missouri's still really good. They play hard, they're physical, but they've kind of been up and down. I just think Drake is going to slow that game down so much, and it is not going to be easy for Missouri. They have the athletes, and on paper, it looks like they should be able to control the game how they want to. But Drake has shown time and time again that team has been together for years. They've won at every level. Just the way they control the game. For matchup sake, Drake against Texas Tech, where we were looking at, just Texas Tech shoots a lot of threes. I think JT Toppin's one of the best players in the country for me. I think he's first-team All-American. I don't know if he actually gets – he's probably second-team All-American, something like that. But he's one of the best players in the country. He's one of the best players I've ever watched in person in the college game. I think that highly of him. Just the way he dominates. But teams that shoot so many threes like that, it's like a bad shooting night, their season's over. Like Toppin's good enough, he can carry them past that, but it's just Drake is going to slow this game down, and they're just going to not – Texas Tech's going to want to speed it up, get out run, get to their spots, get shots up, and Drake is not going to let them do that. Like, there's going to be times when I think Texas Tech's athleticism, especially JT Toppin, and their talent standpoint kind of sticks out. But Bennett starts, he's going to control that game. Masiri, I forget the pronunciation. They have guys who play hard, and Drake can control that game and win. I trust Bennett starts down the stretch of a late game more than I probably trust anybody on Texas Tech, honestly. And I just thinking schematically how Drake would defend JT Toppin and just just a barrage of threes. Like just watching Texas Tech in person a few times here, they shoot so many threes. Like their offense is threes and JT Toppin inside. They do a little bit of mid range, but they are threes and get to the rim. And it's fun to watch, but it's going to be really interesting to see how Drake defends that in a potential matchup.
Mhm. Yeah, we covered a ton, and I'm definitely looking forward to the tournament getting started with the first four starting tomorrow night. Uh, will you be able to watch tomorrow night?
I'll be watching. I'll probably be a little late turning the first game on, but I will be
Yeah.
watching every game this next week.
I'm curious to see how San Diego State does tomorrow night.
It's going to be interesting. They've kind of fallen off and struggled. Thankfully, they beat Houston in November. They would not be in this tournament.
Mhm.
I think they're a fun team. Just the way they battled. They haven't been great recently, though.
Yeah.
I mean, North Carolina hasn't either. But just, I don't know. It's going to be a fun. It'll be a fun game. I'm excited for it. Just either way, however it goes.
I'll be rooting hard for St. Francis.
St. Francis. What's your rooting
Yeah.
interest with them?
Oh,
Are they from
just
the area?
in the Pennsylvania area.
They are nice. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
guess St. Francis, PA.
Yeah.
Have you watched him play at all?
Actually, I think one of the players for them went to a high school next to my hometown,
Nice. That's hot.
but I'm not sure he's with them anymore. But
Still
uh,
cool to kind of have a little rooting interest
yeah,
like that.
yeah. So it's definitely been a fun time talking with you tonight.
So
Talking about the NCAA tournament, and we'll definitely be diving deeply into these games in the next week or two, I assume.
yeah, so
But we'll definitely connect to each other and see what our schedules are like. But just get ready for some great basketball coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited for everything.
yeah, so it's going to be an amazing week. Great talking to you, Alex. Great talking ball.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped. I'll just be not working those 2 days. I will just be hanging out, watching ball, and it's going to be a blast.
I'm actually headed to the Finn for my first time ever this Thursday night.
Let's go. What's the fan?
For it's Villanova plays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I am seeing the women's NIT game
Let's go. That'll be cool.
against Boston College.
Nice. Good luck to them.
So I know for sure you'll be keeping me updated on the nighttime games that night.
Of course. I'll be locked
Yeah.
in. Kansas does play at that time, so if I'm not on my
Yeah.
phone, things probably aren't going well for us.
The game at the Finn is at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, Kansas is right about that time against Arkansas.
Yeah.
So hopefully a couple wins for our teams that night.
Yeah. So this has been episode number 88 of People Talk Fanatics, and I'm looking forward to everything to come in the next episode.
Yeah, so exciting stuff coming.
Yep.